Welcome to GBMC. I'm Dr. John Chassar, the President and CEO of GBMC Healthcare, and it's heartening to see so many of you here today and others who have joined us virtually to celebrate the legacy of a superstar and an icon of GBMC, Dr. Randy Capone, as we rename GBMC's Cleft Lip and Palate Program in his honor. Randy was an extraordinary human being, sharing his gifts of love, compassion, hope, and smiles. And I've reflected with many of you already this evening that Randy would come up to me with that beautiful smile that he had and then begin to leverage me for some piece of equipment. And I was still fixated on how good looking he was. And that smile got him a long way, probably with me and my predecessor. But with everyone he encountered, he was such a great person. We were so fortunate to have him here at GBMC as an immensely talented practitioner, colleague, and also friend. Today's wonderful dedication has been made possible by the support of so many people who were touched by Randy's warmth and compassion. Former patients, family, coworkers, and friends have given generously to make the Randolph B. Capone Cleft Lip and Palate Program a reality. Yay! And on behalf of everyone at GBMC, I want to thank you for supporting the life-changing work the center will be able to do for years to come. You know, many healthcare organizations fall into the trap of acting as if it's about the money. Healthcare is very expensive, but at GBMC, we rally around the fact that it's about serving others. If it were your son, daughter, grandchild born with a cleft lip and palate, you would want one thing. You would want them to get evidence-based care, to get fixed, to get the best possible outcome. And that is the way we look at the program. Again, we are not silly. We know that the program requires resources, but we have such a fabulous team that can help provide the resources even when it is not directly reimbursed by health insurance. And we delight in that. And Randy delighted in being a part of the team, and the existing team delights in knowing that we have the backs of everybody in the community. So in just a moment, you'll hear from several of Dr. Capone's Cleft Lip and Palate Program colleagues, those who had the privilege to work beside him and who can best speak to his enthusiasm and his contributions to this critically important field. We have prepared a wonderful video for today's dedication, and we will conclude our ceremony with a very special unveiling. So now I would like to introduce my friend and colleague, Dr. Tony Klein, who is the medical director of the Cleft Lip and Palate team and our director of clinical genetics. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Dr. Chassar. I want to thank everyone for attending, particularly the donors, both here and virtually, and also our colleagues, part of the Cleft Lip and Palate team, as well as Randy's colleagues. And I want to welcome Randy's family, Marisa Capone and Leo and Enzo Capone today, as well as friends and family here and virtually. I also want to thank Miss Jenny Coldiron and her team, particularly Miss Kate Thorne, for their tireless work in this project and achieving our goals. We're really delighted to be here today. I have to say, it was a complete privilege to work beside and with Randy all the years we had together. He was a true physician in terms of working to the best of his many, many abilities and dedication to the betterment of his patients always. His clinical skills were excellent, particularly his cleft repairs, but all of them. He considered the face to be sacred, the seat of each person's identity, and he strove to make it the best that he could. He felt that all children were special, and they sensed that and were eager to see him and follow up and update him on their lives when he saw them in the clinic. Although I think Randy would have been humble about this, I think it's fitting that we rename our cleft program after him as a tribute to his expertise and his skills. So thank you all for your parts in making this happen. I would now like to introduce Dr. John Capone, oral maxillofacial surgeon at the University of Maryland Medical Center and also at GBMC, and co-medical director of the Greater Baltimore Cleft Lip and Palate team.
So thank you all for coming to celebrate Randy today. It's obviously impossible to put into words what Randy meant to everybody in this room, and he meant something different and so special to each of us. I remember being the new guy, welcome to the team by Tony, Patrick, and Randy, and I knew right away that things would be great with my new paisano, Capone, Cacamese, a couple of cleft gangsters. But right away, I felt like I had a whole new family of friends and partners. Randy was a joy to work with because he led and he cared for his patients with love and compassion. He was a good citizen, a citizen surgeon who cared for his community. While we can't all be here forever, if we are lucky, we can be part of something that will live well beyond us. Randy did that with his family, his patients, and with this team. And now we are here to ensure that his memory, his love, his passion will span generations through this endowment. And we thank all those who were involved in making that happen. We're here to remember a friend and to celebrate his legacy and love for caring for children. I know that he would be so proud to see this team that he started and how we have continued to grow, continuously inspired by his patients' love for him and all of their comments every time we see them, as well as the work we have left still to do. Our team is doing great things, and we're doing our best for our community, like he would. Can the Randolph B. Capone Cleft team, I think both past and present, maybe come forward to just be acknowledged? Something I think Randy knew and lived, as evidenced by all in attendance today, is that when we're connected to others, we become better people. And when we are better people, we are better for our families and our patients. So at this time, we'd like to share a short video of our friend and colleague, Randy Capone.
Thank you for my smile, Dr.
Great pictures. I would now like to introduce Dr. Mark Lowett, who's Chief of the Division of Dermatology at GBMC.
Thank you, Tony, and hello to everyone here at GBMC in New York and everywhere else who may be watching. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come speak with you, and thank you all for being here. It is truly a privilege to speak on behalf of my very dear friend, Randy Capone. As all who knew him will attest, Randy was a true treasure. A multifaceted person who possessed so many gifts and who shared these gifts with the world in so many ways. So with a few words, I hope to share with you my view of just a few of the many aspects of this really remarkable man. Randy grew up in Syracuse, New York, and went to college at the University of Rochester, where he graduated Phi Beta Kappa with a BS degree in physics. That's physics. Planning a career in biomedical engineering, he received an academic scholarship and began a PhD program at Duke. And as Marisa tells it, he had a change of heart. And during the first years of the program, realized that he wanted a career that would offer more contact with people. And it was unbelievably fortunate for all of us that he changed directions and abandoned this scholarship, to the great delight of his parents, as you can imagine, and decided on a career in medicine instead. He attended medical school at Emory in Atlanta, and he completed his clinical rotations at Grady Hospital, an immense public facility dedicated to the care of the poorest of the region. He graduated in the top of his class as a member of AOA, and then he came to Baltimore for his internship and otolaryngology residency at Johns Hopkins, and then did a fellowship in facial, plastic, and reconstructive surgery at UC Davis. Randy was board certified in both facial, plastic, and reconstructive surgery and otolaryngology, head and neck surgery. And his successful private practice at GBMC was right next door to mine. And we often joke that we shared so many patients that we should have just broken through the common wall between our waiting rooms. I must confess to continual irritation with my dear friend and colleague, however, because although I was very proud of the coffee machine for my patients that I had in my waiting room, his waiting room had biscotti. Randy set the bar very high in every way. As you all know, Randy was an amazing doctor. I first got to know him as a professional colleague, and I learned right away how much his patients adored and respected him. How he would always do what he thought was the right thing for the particular person right in front of him. His clinical judgment was impeccable, and I referred hundreds of patients to him, primarily for the treatment of facial skin cancers. He brought thoughtfulness, intelligence, and kindness to each person, and it made my job so much easier to know that I could always trust my patients to his superb care. And his surgical outcomes, as has been said, were exemplary. To this day, patients are still mentioning to me how beautiful their cosmetic results have been, even in the most challenging of cases. But Randy wasn't just a great technician. His interpersonal skills and caring elevated his patient care to a truly superior, unique level. And to illustrate this, I'd like to share with you a letter that a mutual patient wrote to me when they heard of Randy's death. Just a letter to me. In addition to being a superb doctor, he really cared about patients, she said. His empathy and concern were evident and very genuine. There are many competent physicians and many technically good surgeons, but to have that added dimension of caring so deeply is something special. It goes beyond being personable and charming, which Dr. Capone certainly was. We felt cared for as if he were family. Randy's gifts extended beyond the world of medicine. He was a gifted classical musician, and you may know that Randy played the bass trombone in many fine musical organizations, most recently the Columbia Orchestra, where his musical and personal contributions were greatly valued. Our friendship outside of work began with our common musical interests and quickly grew as I learned of his interest and great knowledge in many other areas, including art, history, and literature. We never, ever ran out of things to talk about. And Randy was a devoted friend. He was an amazing listener. He helped me through many difficult passages with kindness and insight. And he was so much fun to be with. He expressed an almost childlike joie de vivre that was contagious. Randy loved his patients, and he loved music, and he loved his friends, particularly those from college, some of whom are here. But Randy's greatest love was for his family. He adored his parents, his in-laws, Senora and Senora Ferraro, who are here. He loved Marisa, Enzo, and Leo above all else. When he would speak of any of them, his face and eyes would light up, demonstrating a true inner joy and pride. He loved fatherhood and was so proud of his young men. And he often shared with me that he had felt that in marrying Marisa, he had won the marriage lottery. And I'm quite certain that when he became ill, his intense and immutable love for Marisa and the boys was what enabled him to endure a series of truly impossible trials, all for the purpose of being present for them as long as humanly possible. He was courageous. Especially toward the end of his life, Randy revealed to me the depths of his deep faith, and he became a dear spiritual brother. His love for God also helped to carry him through these hard times, and he never ceased in prayer and belief, despite the desperately difficult challenges that were placed before him. Randy Capone was truly a remarkable individual, a gifted physician who embraced his role as healer, who earned the most sincere adoration of his patients and respect of his peers. At every stage of his life, he touched the hearts of those he met. He gave of himself and shared his sparkling inner joy. He was a beautiful soul, and we are all richer for having known him. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Finally, I would like to introduce Dr. Patrick Byrne, facial plastics and reconstructive surgeon at Cleveland Clinic and also at GBMC, and also co-medical director of the cleft team.
Thanks so much, Mark. That was beautiful. Today is a great day. The Randolph B. Capone Cleft Lip and Palate Program kicks off today. Although I do recall, hard to forget, being in Nicaragua with Randy on a mission trip, and everybody there took a liking to him, no surprise, and they called him Capone. And at the end of the long days, we'd be getting tired, and someone would say, Capone, let's go. And it would get everybody fired up. And I have this really vivid image of one night, Randy slamming a shot glass on the table and screaming, Capone, let's go. And that's how I remember him, just an amazing guy. Last week, I was on a beach on a week off for spring break, and I read this book Arthur Brooks wrote called From Strength to Strength. It's a really good book. And in it, he talks about two sets of virtues in life. There's resume virtues and eulogy virtues, and how we spend our time in our lives pursuing professional goals and padding our resumes. But some of us need to be reminded that it's maybe the things and the attributes, the virtues that we're going to be remembered by when we're gone, how we treat people on a daily basis. Maybe we need to focus more on. To me, this whole thing is beautiful because it encapsulates incredible skill set Randy had in both sets. On the resume professional side, Mark did a great job summarizing it. Randy was a chief resident at Hopkins when I first started. So I had just finished my fellowship and he was just about to start his. And during that year, he was in Sacramento and I was here. We started talking about and realizing that we both had an interest in building a cleft program and practice. Then we met Tony. It turns out she had the same exact vision. In short order, Marcia and Patty and John Cackamies and so many others, the nucleus that came together, Tim Doran, quickly at that point, still the nucleus today, 20 years later. But I believe it's accurate to say, I don't think it would have worked without Randy. I think his broad professional skill set is really what drove the formation and sustenance and and creation of the team, I really don't think it could have worked without his political skills, administrative skills, impeccable clinical skills. I think that's really the key to our foundation. But more inspiring is this notion that by naming our team after him forever, we'll orient ourselves towards his personal attributes. He treated everybody with such a sense of dignity that it made you feel good. I'm sure everyone in this room has experienced that. Very rare personality. Everybody's talked, when we pass, we all hope to be remembered well. But he was the real deal, different in a really positive way. So I reflect upon, how would Randy handle this? I've actually never told to the degree that I do anybody, including his personal faith and how he manages other people. So I really want to thank, on all our behalf, all the donors, Jenny and Kate and your team, John and the leadership team. I think all of us would love to think that after we're gone, after our few super brief, short trips around the sun, that somehow we leave something behind that leaves the world a little better than when we started. Our kids are the most important, but some of us get a chance beyond that. And Randy, it's so fitting that that's what we get to do in his name in perpetuity. So huge thanks to everybody here. And my only hope is that we can live up to his example every single day. So thank you. Marisa and Enzo and Leo are here. And I understand Marisa is going to come on up. And Leo and Enzo, come on up. Don't be shy. We'll give them a little encouragement. And if you feel comfortable, say a few words.
I'm going to be very brief, but Randy never did anything halfway. And when Randy made up his mind that something was important, there was no dissuading him. And this cleft team was something that was really, really important to him. He just had so much passion for caring for these children and the surgery and getting to know the families. He just really loved it. So he would just be so happy. He would be embarrassed about this, I think, but he would be happy. And that's it. Thank you all for coming and for being here and supporting us and donating and being here today.
So don't run off. We're going to ask Leo and Enzo to unveil our signature event. You guys get to pull it. If it falls and cracks, no worries. There are donors around here that can help us out. Grace under fire, chip off the old block. So this concludes our program. Thank you, everybody. We have snacks and things, including cookies, I think with like smiley faces and rainbows and stuff. So good fitting end. Thanks for coming. I hope you all stick around and mingle for a little bit. Thanks.